Chapter 6 Park of Luminary. Panda, Icebell, and Gale sat together on the bench in San Francisco after the Bells did their goals today. When Panda went back from his visit from Amanda's, Icebell showed his friends Lana after she agreed to join the trip to Canada. With Grizz returning from his visit to Nom Nom's place, they took Gale to the streets of San Francisco. Gale couldn't look at San Francisco the same way again, with every bell small and big in every direction. Does San Francisco usually have bells on the streets? She asked. No, Panda answered. Everything changed when we arrested Agent Trout, who caged tons of bells. These bells are from different states, not the ones who were once in danger, Grizz replied. Icebell still predicts those more brown and light-colored bells, Icebell commented. You all fit in more than other animals, Gale smiled. Do you plan on showing bells from Canada about who you three are? We will, Grizz said. It's the land and bells we're thinking about, Panda added. Do you have the passports sorted out? Yes, I've gotten Ranger tapes, the Poppy Rangers, and the other older Rangers coming along. In fact, Bells are gonna take care of the Ranger station. I was surprised when they showed me them. Gale continued to witness more Bells appearing on the streets. You think that's great? Our friends are what's making our trip to Canada better, Grizz wrapping his hand around Gale. You'll feel fit in with them taking you to places, with the exception of one. You managed to convince Nom Nom to come along? Panda asked. Yes and no. I'm not surprised. Icebell can't be 100% confident happiness is for everyone, Icebell commented. It's fine, I'm not planning on making friends with everyone. I'm just looking forward to the trip itself. Now that's the spirit we need just when we arrive in Canada, Grizz smiled. They made their way to the park where they would normally split up, but this time they're staying together. Bell Cubs have been sliding down with kids on the slide, while the big bells are hanging with the teens. We're planning to not bring any bells, mainly because we're trying to keep a low profile, so as to not get mixed up with the bells in Canada, but they're still gonna miss us, Panda commented. We did activities with them when we came back to San Francisco. So many, we'd have to show you a memory book, if we did start a memory book. Not that I'm against you for not bringing any bells along, but aside from the group you showed me, are there any more people you want to bring? Gale wondered. Well, there were two people, but one is a pop star while the other is a doctor, a nurse, and even a dentist. Icebell only remembers one man being everything for supportive purposes. Icebell replied. They're called Dr. Clark and Estella, Grizz replied. They are the last names we're thinking about, but their jobs are more important. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if some of my friends became popular or have a great profession of helping and saving people's lives, Gale replied. It's not like they would do anything important in Canada, Panda said. Estella isn't planning on performing in Canada, and Dr. Clark is fine taking care of patients here, so it's not like he had anything to gain in Canada, Grizz commented. As they continued to watch more bells hanging out with more people, a person finished up his shift from work as he arrived at the park. He looked at the three bells who he hasn't met since the whole braces situation. He made his way from behind as he poked on Grizz's shoulder, catching his attention. Dr. Clark, he blinked. You're here? Panda added. I'm taking a break from work for about an hour. Bells have been taking my job more seriously, he answered. It's a pleasure to meet you, Gale smiled. The bells told me everything about you. Good to know. I've heard you're going to Canada soon. We're still planning out everything. We might have everyone come together at our cave the night before we leave, Panda filling in. You're bringing a lot of people along. Dr. Clark became impressed with the dedication from the bells. Do you have room for me to join? You want to go to Canada? Yes. But what about your job, or in this case, multiple jobs? Grizz reacted. I once had a problem where I couldn't leave the buildings I worked in. But after the Bears took classes of the jobs I've taken, they've been making my life easier, Terrell. I've been taking walks outside. The Bears knew they changed the city for the better, but when it comes to Bears helping out humans with their jobs, there's so much going on inside the buildings. So you want to take a vacation? Dentists and even doctors need a vacation to cool off, even though I never lose my cool. We're not complaining. If you have a passport, we can find something for you to do. Actually, I want mainly a luminary experience from you, Bears. Inspiration for what could happen in Canada you could change. Just like here in San Francisco. The Bears didn't know what the word luminary meant, but from someone like Dr. Clark who uses it, their way of inspiration would be luck if it's possible. Do you really want that from us? Panda spoke. I've seen too much luminary from talented celebrities. I want to see that from regular people like you. Icebell prefers the word periodic, Icebell responded. It's not that we're incapable of luminary, we're just expecting Canada to surprise us, Grizz explained. That's the whole point why we're going there in the first place, Panda added. Luminary can come from anyone, including you, Bears. From listening to that voice, the Bears and Gale turned around while Dr. Clark walked next to the Bears. It's revealed to be one of the famous pop stars in the United States, and the Bears encountered during Christmas Eve as cubs during the parade. Estelle, Grizz, and Panda reacted until Icebell covered their mouths, preventing the attention from anyone in the park. Estella's wearing a white jacket and wearing a hood to disguise herself from anyone out in the open. Speaking of talented celebrities, Dr. Clark smiled. She's the one I couldn't get enough luminary out of. I've cut on what you mentioned, Canada, because I'm gonna be performing now after I announced it in my last concert last week, Estella smiled. I've always known I would at least meet familiar faces before I step foot in front of my fans. I'm meeting fans for the first time. The Bears felt frozen with not one, but two people they thought were the last people willing to come on their own conditions, willing to expect luminary from them. In what words have I been missing this? Gale smiled while placing her hands on her hips. Quite a lot, Panda awkwardly grinned. Maybe it's just me thinking of the possibilities, but I haven't thought this far to see what we would do with you, Grizz replied. It doesn't have to be perfect, but we should always expect nothing but greatness and surprises. Estella slowly turned to the cub bears in the park, only for her to turn back to the three bears. The Christmas parade may have almost been a disaster, but I know for a fact, when we come back from Canada, we will reminisce about it in the future. Icebell always reminisces about end adventures, Icebell said. Then again, Estella does turn adventures into legendary, Panda commented. A little bit much, but it still makes sense, Estella agreed. Not much of an adventure type, but I wouldn't bail on it, Dr. Clark replied. This trip is going to be better than I thought. Gale likes the two adults coming along. None of the people who send me to their house ever gives me anything this special. You're in luck, Estella smiled. There's more than what comes your way. You say that to your fans, mostly when I hand my backstage passes for backstage parties. So, like, 10 or 20 people? Yes, I know how to keep in touch with the people I grew a liking to. Then you won't regret it when we meet you in Canada. This trip is getting better and better, Grizz cheered. I'll be ready for the get-together at your cave, Dr. Clark said. Call me when you have it scheduled. No problem, Panda replied as Dr. Clark made his way back to his shift. He and his brothers turned back to Estella. Even though you're not coming over to our cave, we might come to your concert if we have the chance. I didn't say we would meet at my concert, Estella said. I'm doing other things in Canada like being a guest on broadcast news to market my concert. I'm also going sightseeing during my spare time. We're doing the same thing as well. Canada is a big map, but keep in mind, I know you and your friends will be close by. Estella left the Bells and Gail as she left the park. She's so great when she predicts the future. So should we spend more time together? Gail wrapped her arms around Grizz and Icebell. You bet, Grizz agreed. We may have to go back to our work in progress, but so far everything's working out. So everyone's coming along. Grizz stopped himself, still remembering there's one more person who needs to come, but at the same time, he can't. Yes, everyone's coming. There's no one left, he smiled.